You told us a very interesting story here one time. I think one of these gentlemen here asked you about it today. A man that used to tip you off on circumstances and so on when you were going to bowl in a very important match. What was that story?
Well, I'll tell you, Bob, this man, I'm very grateful to him, because if it wasn't for him, my career could have possibly been over. His name is Henry Lahr. He's out of Chicago here, but the last couple of years, due to a stroke, he's had some illness and he hasn't been able to work with me, but he is definitely responsible for me being where I'm at today. His name is Henry Lahr, and he's a mechanical engineer, and he opened my mind. He gave me the greatest gift that any one person can give to another person. He opened my mind, and that's what I try to do for youngsters when I'm on the road. The most important thing I think you could do for someone is not just to help them and become a crutch. I think you've got to open their mind, and then when you've done that kind of a job where you can walk away and they can now think better on their own, you've done a great job.
When it comes to top-flight championship bowling, how do you divide it? How much of it is physical and how much of it is mental?
Bob, I think all athletes, not only in bowling, I think in any sport, they all reach a plateau physically. And the superstar, the so-called player that's above the crowd, he is able to control his mental abilities and coordinate them with his physical abilities better than the next man. And it's not always size. And also you look at many sports, and you'll have a player that's good for 5 years or 6 years, and then all of a sudden you come along with an Enos Slaughter, so to speak. He had longevity in the game, an early win. To me, those people have something in the brain that separates them from the guy that plays 5 years.
Well, now, is that true of some bowlers, too?
Well, you look at that one.
What about the game to learn? Is it a tough game for a young person to really learn and adjust to?
Bob, it's a strange game in this sense, that you can learn bowling to get to 180 average very easily, but to master the sport's almost impossible. I don't know if anybody, I've been around 29 years professionally, and I don't know of anyone that has actually mastered the sport. It's just so difficult. There's so many variables out there that you can go in one bowling center and learn the game, so to speak, to knock down 180 average, but you can't go cross country, all different conditions, and master it. Nobody's been able to do that yet.
What about accidents in bowling?
Bob, you would think that bowling's a type of sport that nothing would happen. Well, Buzz Fazio one time was leading a tournament at the All-Star Tournament at the Coliseum in Chicago here. He went for a shave, and the guy dropped a razor on his thumb and cut his thumb, and he went from first to about 14th. And one time, I was in a tournament in New York, and I was bowling real well, and I wanted to put, the lanes were hooking a lot, so I wanted to put a little wax on my bowling ball. So the machine was broken, so I went into this place where they had a buffing wheel, and I put this ball on top of a chair, and the ball rolled off the chair, fell on my big toe, and broke my big toe. So I got the headlines, bowler drops out, broken big toe. So then another time I had to bowl in the All-Star myself. I went to hang up my top coat in the wintertime, and the hanger slipped and ripped my whole finger, and a couple guys have hurt their wrist. This year in particular, we've got elbows going, wrists going, big toes going. So I tell you, we're getting to be a hazardous sport. But it's great because I like the challenge of, anything can happen in bowling.